Hey, this is Khalid Farouk Hayek with Urban Kids Universe, and welcome to another episode of the UKU Impacting Education Show, where we help early childhood educators, childcare directors, homeschoolers, and parents of 2 to 6 years old child make an impact. Today, I have with me again, Daman. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. How was your weekend so far?
Good. It was good time to rest and stay home. It's snowing today.
It's snowing in your area. Here we go.
Yeah, it
Well,
is.
uh,
The
uh,
first
uh,
snow, actually. It's the first snow.
nice. Is it fluffy?
It is. They said like it was gonna be wet snow, but then it seems like it's just melting.
Nice. So you know what? I believe when we were talking the last time, it was the first snow in our city, and
Really?
right now
Wow.
it's fully melted. Right now we're back to green.
Okay.
I
That's
just got yeah. Okay, awesome. So let's talk today. It's an important topic. It's all about the importance of activities in the classroom, and I believe this is very important. And most likely we'll come to visit this one over and over again, and we approach it from different perspectives. I love that you gave me a lot of details about it already, and I have so many questions. So, are we ready to go?
sure.
Awesome. Let's dive right in. Okay, I'm going to ask you the first question right away. So, describe to us, please, the idea of implementing activities in the classroom.
I feel like activities, when we implement in the classroom, it's like a hands-on and hands experience for the children.
Mhm.
As you know, they get to really dig in the activities and explore different areas. As there's like we could do like music, movement, art, and that could also include a little bit of maths, a little bit of English, and how to write their names. The activities also depends like what are the ages of the children as well, so we plan accordingly. So I think it's just really important that we plan them according to what are their needs and according to their age groups.
I'd like to get a little bit of details when you said planning about their needs. So basically, you try to absorb their need during the week, and then you come up with the activity the next week, or as you go.
Yeah, so I think as we go, because you know one time the child could be into Lego, and then the second time, like next week, it could be all about sea animals. So it's all about observing and taking notes and planning like fast. Because, you know, children lose their interest pretty fast as well. So you have to really keep an eye on it and see how we can keep them engaged into it. If they try to talk about something more and more, then you want to, you know, go into that topic in detail. You want to do it faster because children could lose their interest faster as well.
Totally. You know what? I want to share a life example right away. And I'm going to ask you to tell me how you're going to plan for that right example. I use this example so many times with ECEs. I tell them, okay, right now it's summertime, springtime, and we're going to do outside play. And while we're taking the kids outside, one of them, they observe and they found a snail. And here we go. Now everybody, oh, gather around, and they're going to start looking at the snails. And then you're going to see that there are a lot of interest from all of them about snails. Now, here is my question: when you say I'm gonna plan fast,
Hmm.
give me a real life example. If I am the child and
You
we
chose
are interested in
something
it,
perfect because I did the thing with that. So I
wow,
have an
awesome.
example from my own classroom. So what happened like in summer, this summer, that children were very interested into snails, and they were like holding them, talking about them, always sitting around them outside when we were going outside, and they tried to bring them inside, sneaking, like being sneaky. And I was like, what can we do about this? Because, like, you know, I was looking at it for a couple of days and I was like, no, like, they're so into it. So, what we did was we ordered this little tiny box where you put these lizards, right? Like, it's like a container, like a clear container. And then we put a little bit of rocks, leaves, and then a tiny bit pieces of those wood chips. And we put a little bit of water. As soon as they found a snail, we brought it in. We brought it in and we put it in a room. So we had 10 snails in a room, that little container. And we made a life cycle of the snails. We talked about that in the circle. And we observe the snail every single day, how they're growing up. And we also like ask the children to help us out to clean the container every single day, go outside and pick the leaves for them because we used to change everything. So it was like they were involved into the whole cycle of them living in their own room, being a part of our room and looking at them, especially when the children, when it was like quiet time, they just wanted to sit and observe. It was a great hit in a room. And what we also did was we made these little charts of snail, and we asked them to color, and we named them. It was just a big project that we built into during that summer because they love the snails so much that they get to take care of it, they get to observe it, they get to look at the life cycle, they get to talk about it, they get to name it, they get to make a friend, they get to color. So there's a bunch of things we did with that thing. So
Awesome.
you picked a perfect thing to talk about.
Wow, that's awesome. You know what? It's just it's fascinating how they can, with their imagination and with their care, how they can always take it to from an idea, from observation to a full project, like summer project, like you are saying. Like they start naming them. I love this point. I was just about to ask you, did they name them already? And how did they know? Like, did you color the shell a little bit so you know this is the name belong to this one?
Yeah,
All
they
of
were
these.
like the sizes. They were actually looking at the sizes of them because all of them were different sizes, and the shells
Nice.
were a bit different than each other. Maybe a little bit darker, a little bit, lighter. And I was naming them with my children's name. So I was like, "This is you. This is you. This is you." So it was so fun. It was so fun to have that project. I think we still have that in the room. If not, because I moved from a different province, like so it was like a different thing.
Nice.
So yeah, when I left, it was still there.
That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. And you know what? Just before I go to the next question, here is the feedback that we received a couple months ago when we were talking about our community as a UKU community. That when you share an idea like this and our designers can create the worksheet from it, is because when I use this exact example a couple of months ago, like the ECE's feedback were before they said, oh, we would love to have access to coloring pages that's all about snails. We would love to have access about, let's say, your designers create for us the life cycle. So we really give you the idea and you create it for us and we continue with that. So we don't really overspend time on creating the actual life cycle poster and all of that. And I believe this is where it comes powerful when we always connect with each other and we co-create. This is the most powerful part. Okay, let's go to the next question.
Okay.
Okay. What is activity-based learning? This is a big one. We need a lot of details about that one.
Yeah. So activity-based learning is pretty much when you're providing an activity to the children, it's like there's always some kind of learning involved into it. It could be art, it could be music, could be movement, or it could be maths, English, how to write their name, how to even hold a pencil. I think that's also us learning for them, right? Like their fine motor skills, their gross motor skills. As they're trying to, go through that activity, they're trying to solve this problem. They're trying to build their problem solving skills. They're trying to use their cognitive skills. And also they're learning how to share this space. They're learning how to share the items with the other children. So a lot of social skills involved. There's a lot of emotional skills involved as you're expressing how you feel about the activity. So they're like, oh, wow, I love it. I like it. Or I want to do this again. Can I do this again? Can I get another paper? Can I get, so these kind of things, I feel like it's all about learning when you're providing an activity. It's all about, even it's a small thing. And even if it's about holding a pencil, everything is a part of learning when you're providing an activity in the classroom.
I would love to get some examples. Okay, you mentioned fine motor skills. You mentioned gross motor skills, emotional skills, social skills. If you can give us very fast, small example on one of each,
Yeah,
I
for
would love to
sure.
hear.
For sure. So for the fine motor skills, you can say
Yeah.
is like arranging the pom poms, those little tiny colored pom poms. So you can give them different containers, and you can give a big bowl to them, and they can use the blue ones in one, red ones in one, pink ones in one. So it's like all about picking using your fingers, because they're little tiny ones. Or what else could be how to overwrite, like, you can provide their name with dots, and then you can ask them to write it, and then so overwrite it, and then that's a perfect
I
example.
I really need your feedback on this one. Yesterday, I was dreaming. Can you imagine? I was like really thinking so much about this. So I was dreaming about what is the best solution that we provide to ECEs so they can write the kid's name as dotted or dashes. Okay, I found the solution, but I wanted to know, how do you write their names as dotted?
I think
Do you have an app or something?
not an app. You just have to go online. I think there's just websites where you can like go online and type it, and you can like make a worksheet out of it.
So
So
you just type their name, and then it's gonna give you the same name as
yeah,
dotted.
yes. So the first will be properly like written in normal letters, and then
Mhm.
next like couple of lines would be written in dotted letters. So that's what I
I
did
w-
with the children. Yeah,
Awesome. I would love if you share that with me.
right.
It's very good to share it with our audience, so it's
Sure.
gonna like help them speed up the process so much, right?
Sure. Because
Yeah.
and also I feel like we laminate them because you don't have to print paper
Oh,
again
you
and
have to print it. Okay, okay, yeah.
yeah, so you can just like laminate them and then give kids like to erase maybe a paper to erase it and then use a erasable marker. So you can use it again and again instead of like wasting the paper and then doing it all over and again. So that's just the best solution.
That's absolutely the best solution.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And you said more. Okay, so for
A
the
growth.
yeah, so for the gross motor skills,
Yeah.
I feel like it's all about passing a ball outside. The basic thing that we do is or holding their water bottle, holding their lunch kit, holding how to put their jacket on, and what else it could be. But for the activity, I think it's pretty much we what we do in the classroom sometimes is we could use like a big bowl in the circle that we pass with different items in it. So it involves fine and gross motor, both at the same time.
So you pass like during a song, and wherever
Yes,
you
sir.
stop, they have to pick up something from it.
Right. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. And also it involves like social skills, emotional skills, pretty much everything into it. But I feel like every activity has like a bunch of different areas that they cover at the same time. It's not always only about just one area that the activity covers. It's a lot of things for children because every children feels a different way about every activity, right? So it's all about seeing in child's perspective how you do it.
You just pointed to the very important key. If you see their perspective of how they do it, this is the way you can provide the best feedback and activity to accommodate what they need.
Right, because you have to understand what are their needs and what they're thinking
Yeah.
as to present that activity in a certain way. Because if you're going to try to think, oh, they can't make this they can't make this plane, they can't do this with their both hands. No, it's never going to work because it's all about the process. It's not about the product. That's what I learned in school, and it just really stick in my mind every single time somebody tries to tell me, oh, the children can't do it. I always tell them no, it's all about the process of the activity. It's not about the product. It doesn't work out at the end, it's totally fine. But they're trying, they're using their skills to get involved in the activity. That's all that matters. The way they're doing it, the skills they're developing during that time, right?
That's absolutely amazing. You know what? We should highlight this one as one of the action points of this call. That it's all about the process. If
Right.
you think it that way, that's it. You already like achieved your goals. It's not about the
Yeah.
products. That's amazing. I have a question here. It just pop up to my mind when you are talking about the fine motors and how they are holding the pen. And I realize this is a very common problem with all of the ECEs. When the kids come in, they really know a lot how to swipe on the screen, but they don't know how to hold the pen.
Mhm.
How do you help them understand if they are right-handed kids or left-handed? Like, where like I would love to know, how do you know?
So I think, as I said, it's all about observation. A lot of children end up using the right or left hand in their daily activities. When you observe them and you see they're trying to eat, Same with my brother. My brother had the same thing when he was little. So we were observing, like, he was eating with his left hand the whole time. And my mom was trying to put him on the right hand. And we were like, no, like, because he couldn't balance it because he didn't know how to use it with right hand, because he knew is automatic, is, his brain was working with the left hand. So we don't really tell children which hand to use. We just tell them how to hold a pencil, and it's just automatic. I feel like just children knows that which hand they're good with or what they want to use. And then if they're using this hand, that's fine. We're just going to help them out to hold it. And it's all about how they do it. Throughout the day, they'll try to zip up with the left, if they're left, right? If they're lefty.
Exactly. You just pointed to it. Exactly. Do you observe other? I'm really sorry. I think I interrupted you. I'm really sorry for that. So basically, you observe other activities, like normal daily activities that they
Right.
do, and then you say, oh, most likely they are left-handed.
Yes.
They're zipping
And
with their left hand.
observation is the key, right? Because if they're using their left hand majority of the time, I'm not like, because some of the children could be comfortable with the right hand, but then as soon as you put the pencil down, you're holding it with their left hand, you know it. They want to use their left hand, because you don't give them the pencil in the hand. You just put it on the paper, you put it on the table. And when you see the child, what would be our first direction would be, because I'm a righty. So my first direction would be picking it with my right hand, right? So if a child is lefty and they think they're comfortable with their left hand, their automatic reaction would be they're going to pick it with their left hand. So you have to be like very observant about it. And then if they are using their left hand, that's okay. They can, if they're comfortable with it. All that matters is how they can hold it, if they're okay with it, And then some of the children are pretty good at it. And so it really depends how they do these little tiny activities throughout the day, zipping up, putting their shoes on. Sometimes even I see children holding a spoon, like holding a spoon that way, or trying to take, the zip from their lunch kit, like trying to take it out. And I'm just sitting there, like, okay, yeah,
Okay.
I know.
And you write that as a note for the future, so you know that this is
right. Right. We try to keep track of these things and try to communicate between the children, between the teachers, so everybody's like aware of it, and then they're not like confused what is happening. So we do try to discuss throughout the day about little things that kids do, so everybody has an update of it. And then I do feel like what I try to do is I try to like get everybody together, and then sometimes like have a little chat. And also we have this little tiny communication workbook where we write these little notes and stuff, and so that everybody else can also take a look when they come in, or if they're not there and stuff.
Yes, you know what? It's a very nice feedback that I have. Lama and Farouk, they are lefties, right? And when they zip their jacket, they have to use their left hand, right?
Right.
But I realized that their winter jacket, like on top of the buttons, it has a flap, flap that is closed on top of them. But it's always right. So when they go, like they have to go this way to zip it up because the flap is going from the other side, right? Like it just came to my mind right now that they didn't think it, like they thought everybody is right-handed when they created the jacket, something like that. It's no big deal, but it's the point, to be honest, that it can be implemented in everything, right? In everything in life, right? Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Okie dokie. Let's go to the next question. So let's talk about a few examples of learning about forms that they can use to implement activities. We almost touched base on it, but we need more details.
Right, no problem. So for the activities, you have to really keep in mind, there's a few things that you have to keep in mind to get a plan and implement in the classroom. The first point I would say is like exploration, where, you have to make sure that the children get that idea that they can explore into it. You just don't have to give everything to them and then, let it be. Sometimes you have to like give it out and like let them explore through it, like what's going on. They're curious. They're like wondering what is happening now. Like, how am I supposed to do? Sometimes they even do that. How am I supposed to do this? What am I supposed to do with this? What can I do now? And then you're like, do what you like. Sometimes it has to be really open-ended activity, and then they can just form anything out of it. For example, like Play-Doh, right? That's the basic example for this. So you give out Play-Doh, and then it's just like sometimes some of the children want to know like what's exactly happening, and they're like, what am I going to do? And you're like, do whatever you feel like and do as you like. And some of the children just start making things, and it's like all about open-ended. And then they're gonna be everybody's gonna make different things, and you'll see everybody's gonna make a different thing. Everybody's gonna form a different stuff out of it, and you'll be super shocked when you see them doing this, because it's a really great activity to share in the classroom as you get to know their creative side, as you get to know their on the social side, as you get to know how they're good with their hands, their fine motor, their gross motor and everything. And the another would be experimentation. So they have to like they get to like explore. For example, I'm going to just give you an example instead of just explain. I think it explains itself. So for experimental, it could be as I said about the snails, but then we can also do is like in the summer you can bring leaves or flowers. So what we did was we brought flowers. They were white in color, and we made these little. We had these little tiny jars, and we asked the children to fill them up with water, and then we asked them to pick their favorite food coloring, and then they mix it. They put the flower in, and the stem was sticking in the water, so flower wasn't touching the water. It was just a stem, and the flower just sucked the food coloring, and then it just forms the color. And then it was just a great experiment, because they get to know like how the water travels, and because it has a color, so it's easier to tell. Otherwise we can't tell the water travels like this, right? So it was a great activity for them as well. And I also did was used the pea seeds. We put in those little test tubes, and I put a little bit I asked the children to put soil, seeds, water, and we put it close to the window where we could have as much sun as possible. And when the peas grow, they grow like really high, so you have to like attach sticks to it. And I had peas growing in my classroom like throughout the summer. They were like fall. They were like so good, and we actually tasted them.
They're not just to grow, they just have also babies as well. And you tasted my goodness.
Right.
Wow.
It was so good. I even tried to try them. It was so funny. Like we did it together, and they get to see that there was a seed, and then we also put a poster on the side, and then they get to observe through it. And there's a little bit of fruit coming out. It's growing. There's a leaf. There's a fruit, and there's forms a proper pea, and then it ripes, and then you pluck it, and then you open it, and you see the seed. So it was like a full life cycle of it. Yeah, and yeah, it's a wow. It's just something that when you see it in the classroom, you're like, wow, like. When we were little, I wish we had this much of resources when I was little, but then this is so great that they get to explore so many things at the same time and be a part of it, and then get to learn with the activity. And that's a big one. That's a really big one. Instead of just reading through the books and just cramming everything, right? It's all about life examples and what you do on your daily basis in the classroom. And yeah, like
Wow. So you give us so far two type of the exploration, right, and the what is the other one you gave us?
It's expression. Yeah.
Yes. Any other one as well?
I think another one would be how it's like social, like being social. Yeah, because children really need, when they're in the classroom, social skills is very basic, because you have to share your materials, you have to share your space. You have to sit with somebody. Sometimes you have to share even the paper you're using, right? Because sometimes we do provide like big papers, and we divide them into groups, and that's a group activity. So you have to do it with your friends, and then you have to share everything with your friends. So it's a lot of learning how to be, being social and learning to share space, be kind, being empathetic, being able to explore things together as a team, how to work as a team. There's so many things involved in this area.
Totally. Totally. You know what I love about this, what you just mentioned about the social activities is a little bit different from what parents does with their kids at home when they go, let's say, to grocery store. So basically, they're just saying to them, "What do we say?" And the kids has to say, "Oh, thank you." Yes, but it wasn't an activity. It was just telling them what to do. While here, they are really practicing the sharing, practicing the activity of teamwork, of saying thank you and gratitude because you divided the entire activity between all of them. Well, this is very important. And the reason I'm saying that is the more we can provide these examples to parents, they can extend all of that to their house, right? And then instead of just saying to kids, okay, sharing is caring. Okay, come on, sharing is caring. The kids understand this all the time you say it, but like help them implement it. And
Yes.
the best way to help them implement it through activities.
Because then they understand the concept when they're actually doing it. Because when we're just saying it, it's just words, right? Children are basically like they learn like this. They when they do something, that becomes very clear in their mind because they know the boundaries, they know how to set the boundaries, but you just have to expose them to it. And I always try to do is if there's materials that we're using, even though they're having their own paper, even though they're doing their own activity, but the materials that we're putting out there, I always try to do is in a three group. So like three children in a group kind of thing. So they have to share it together. Because I think it's the best way to help them to build that social skills that they need as they're trying to share the material, as they're also sharing the space with it. And they're learning how to say please and thank you and say, can I have more? Or ask the other person for help. So I always encourage the children, if they do need something extra or they need support, I tell them, ask your friend. Ask your friend. He's right there. Yeah, and then they always do. And it's a great thing because the other child is always very eager to help and willing to be there for the other child. And that's great.
That's totally wow. I want to give an adult edition feedback, okay, if you don't mind. So I have my mentor in business. His name is Tony Robbins. He's like very well known and amazing person. And he said something which is amazing, which is he said, repetitive is the mother of mastery. Okay, so here is the point. I'm just giving as a feedback to what you just said. When we do the activity and we do it over and over and over again, even in different forms, but we do the same type of activities, kids will master it and it will become like no-brainer for them. And they're just going to be fluent in it, doing it, enjoy it. And that's what makes the real impact in the future. They make decision not based on the knowledge, not based on what you told them, based on what they did, the action. Right? So knowledge, this is even for parent and advice for parent. I'm going to talk directly to the camera. Knowledge is potential power, but actions are the real power. And honestly, taking action, let them implement the activity, let them play inside the activity. Taking action, it trumps knowledge every day a week. So instead of just telling them, do this, don't do this, right? You just involve two kids and ask your friend. You just put it in a very real action. This is amazing. Amazing. Wow. Thank you. You had a feedback, or should we move to the next question?
Yeah, I think for this one, you said it right. You said it so right. As it's just become it like it embeds in them. Like it's just in them. Then after a certain period of time, they get to know it's just automatic. It just comes automatically. And then you don't have to teach them anymore because they have done it so many times that it's just going to come out automatically.
Yes. And this is the type of development that we care about the education aspect, but we care so much more about the outcome from that education aspect, right? And this type of, when they have developed this personality as a social skills, as a fine motor skills and all of that, this is the ultimate outcome that we want to we want to see, because this is going to shape their next year and the years after, right? Okay, absolutely, absolutely. Wow, let's keep going. This is very nice. Okay, so let's go. What are differences? What are the different areas of activities that we can implement through the day? The different areas of activities that we can implement through the day. Okay, so if we wanna, let's say, divide the day to stages, let's think it through that.
Sure. So what I do in my classroom as I plan is, as I say, like observation, right? So how can you observe? You need to give some time to children to observe. So for that, you need to give them some free play time for themselves. So then you can be able to see what are the things they like, what are they what are they into, what are they involved in this week, or what are they trying to do this week, what are they working on this week. So for that, the first thing I do is, the first thing in the morning, the first thing that I start the day off with is a 60-minute of free play time for the children. So they can play whatever they like, but as soon as much as, as they're cleaning up on the side, not just like making a mess and running one spot to another. So I make sure of that. And I try to observe them as closely as possible, so I can implement throughout the day. And the next part would be snack. So they're ready to roll for the day. Snack. And then next part would be circle. The first thing.
I'm sorry, I have to ask to clarify. You are saying that when they do snack, you try to do it through type of activity, like having fun while eating snack?
So for the snack time, what we do is we try. You can say like we can try children, try to ask them to bring their own stuff from their cubbies, open them, use a spoon, and try to open, those little containers that they bring with little fruits or anything like that. So we encourage them to open it, and working on those small tiny things, as like opening the lid of those yogurt tubes or like the yogurt containers that they bring. And also, if they accidentally spill something or make a mess, we're encouraging them to clean up instead of us. It's a form of trying to teach them their self-helping skills during that time, because I feel like once they start doing it for themselves, they'll start doing it all together at the same time. It just comes out automatically. We don't even have to ask them at the end of the day. These little tiny things involve like social skills. Again, I'll come back to that. Fine motor skills and gross motor skills, and sharing their space as they're sitting on the same table. They're trying to, because so every place is different. So the center I worked in, the last one, we used to provide food. So that was like more of sharing. So you can pass food to each other.
Great.
You can use tongs to serve yourself. But then where I work right now, children bring homemade food or home food. So that's totally different because they have their own lunch kits.
Yes.
But then
go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. It's okay.
Before you go to the next activity that you want to mention during the day, I just want to also provide feedback to parents as well, because the lens that you just give us, it's amazing. Okay, we as parents, we intend without intentionally, okay, without our I'm sorry, we intend without doing that on purpose, but our intention is to ease every every action during the day. For example, you just mentioned that you tried on purpose. You tried to ask them to open the lid. You tried to ask them to open the yogurt bottle. We as parents, most likely we do it for them.
Yes.
Okay. If we see it through this lens, and we start intentionally ask them to do it, this is what you meant exactly. Like, let's apply the fine motor skills as an activity. We're doing it anyway, so why you do it for them? Let them do it. I just wanted to highlight this and underline it for parents, because basically we can just do it for them. Even clean up, right? Like the majority of parents, they just, okay, what happened, the mess happened, okay, let me grab paper towel, boom, etc. Oh no, let's have fun with it and let's make it as an activity.
Yeah. And I also think that people do think these are very small things, but like these small things build up into big things at the end of the day. Because if they're trying to use these skills at that time, they're going to be able to use the pencil. They're going to be able to write. You know, it's just a process and a step at a time kind of thing. So you take that step, and then there's another step that you can take after. So it's step by step. You can't just expect children to start writing or start doing things right away when you're not letting them do those little tiny things for themselves. That's just basic things. Just, and that's interesting, right? Like open a lid, yay, I want to have yogurt. And then you try it. And then when they do it, they're like, yay, I opened it. I did it. I did it. Yeah. And it's a great way of teaching them during, such small activities that they do through the day. It's just eating. I mean, who can think that we can teach things through eating?
And they're achieving small micro wins during the day with the absolutely normal actions.
Yeah, that's right.
That's even going to build confidence. Wow.
It is really nice to see that, because sometimes it does take a little while for a child to learn how to do these tiny things. For example, opening the bottle, right? It could be a little bit harder for some children. But once they get a hold of it, and then you try to teach them hands on hands, and once they get a hold of it, you need to see the excitement on their face. They're like, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to show it to you. I did it. I did it. And they keep saying it because they're so confident in themselves now that they can do it. They're going to do it themselves. You don't even have to ask them anymore.
Totally. I absolutely can see that coming, even at home. Wow, that's awesome. Okie dokie. So you mentioned, I believe, some free play activities, and then you went to lunch, and then I interrupted. Okay, what
Oh,
other
it's fine.
stuff? Yeah, go ahead.
And then
What?
I try to do at least one circle a day. So morning for sure, a circle, and then one art activity, and we can do music in the circle. So that could be involved in the circle. You can do movement in the circle. So it depends how you want to involve that in the day. But the basic things I do throughout the day would be art, movement, and then free play. And also something that I call, that I learned from my last center would be young scholars. Young scholars involves, that means it could be experiment. It could be a life cycle you're talking about. It could be reading a book. It could be talking about something that the children were really into, as we talked about life cycle of snail, life cycle of plants or trees, or learning about the weather, learning about how the weather changes. And when we look outside, for example, snowing, if it was snowing in the school today, like I was there, we would have talked about all about snow, how the snow come, how is it formed, and you can see the clouds, how does the weather change, what is the weather now, and what is happening, what are the holidays. So like it's all about, I basically put those four things in throughout the day. That is art, free play, and young scholars, and movement. That's the four things for sure happening in the day that I feel like that needs to be there in the day, that needs to be involved in all
Yes.
those activities, because
And
these are very basic things.
yes, and when you say art, let's say you include the coloring, the writing, the Play-Doh, the slime,
Right.
all of that under
Right.
art. And then when you say movement, it's basically maybe some type of singing, dancing,
We do yoga,
running, doing around.
stretching, we do yoga, stretching, we do running, we
Nice.
do tag, we do we do soccer, or you could be using those bikes, it could be using those little um, cars that they have. It could be,
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
it's a broad spectrum of these
Awesome.
activities.
Awesome. Last week in one of the calls, I learned that they're teaching breathing methodologies, even for at young age. And it was very, very nice example what they breathe in. And let's say like they use the example of a traffic light, green, yellow, and red. So on red, you hold the breath, right? Like, and you keep doing faster and breathe out. So I believe even in breathing, this is something very new to me that you teach as activities. And I would love to start trying it with my daughter, Senna. She's a 3 right now. And I would absolutely give a feedback on that. This is also good.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Awesome. Awesome. Let me move to the next one. So how important are the transitions between the activities?
I think transitions are part of the day, as they are also part of the activity. As there you have to do it in the preschool for sure, as you're trying to get them ready for the kindergarten, and it is going to happen in the school. So if you are getting them ready during the preschool, they'll be like at their best in the kindergarten. It'll be so easy for them to move to kindergarten. It won't be like a whole shock to the children when they go to the other room. And yes, and it also, transition can also play a big role as being a break from activities, or break from throughout the daily things or daily routines we do throughout the day. So for example, like children, when they're doing some activity, they're doing art, and then that you're painting, and they're all like full of paint now, their mouth is painted and their hands are painted, and you have to move them from that place to another activity at somehow. So it's called transition, right? You're transitioning from one spot to another. So for that, you have to make sure that the transition is smoother. So you're taking the child from that area to the bathroom. You take all the kids right away. It's very chaotic. The bathroom is full. Everybody's jumping. Everybody's pushing. Everybody's coloring each other. So it's a lot of work, and it's hard for children to focus and pay attention. So you have to try to make those transitions super smooth by maybe splitting them into groups, or asking them to keep their hands to themselves, or put their hands up so they're not touching anybody, and then go to the bathroom, or 2 by 2, where one teacher goes with them, kind of thing. So even like using a bathroom is a transition, or going outside, before going outside, lining up is a transition. So I think transitions are a big part in the activities, that because it's like a break. It's like a break for children. They're
Yes.
not like always focused on the activities throughout the day.
Yes, and I believe the more you have this planned, the smoother it will be, right? Because let's go back to your example where they are full with colored right now, and it's a very big mess. But if you even let's say have some type of, I'm not sure, apron or some type of specific clothing that they use when they color,
Right.
right? That will be also easing out the
Yes,
transition.
we
So the more
do. We
planned
do
is the
do the
best.
smock. Yeah, the smocks. We call them smocks. We put
Smocks,
them
yeah.
on. Yes, so we put them on, and then we try to put them on. But then there is another part to this. So there are some children who are sensitive to the touch of it. So, for example, the child that I work with right now with special needs, he's sensitive to a lot of touches, so he doesn't like the feeling of it. So sometimes I'm not able to put that on that child, and they don't want it because they don't like the feeling of it. So that's another challenge for us. And if they're okay with it, they're okay with it. They're fine. We try it every single day, but then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it's just both ways, right? Like some of them are okay with it, some of them are not okay with it.
Totally. Totally. And again, when you think when you plan for it, here is the power of planning. Actually, it will make all your life easier. I give 2 examples with your permission. So basically, I believe at this age, like maybe last year, we purchased from Amazon. We purchased a mat that you can use a like very gigantic pen that you fill it with water, and then whenever you color on top of the mat, it's showing colors, and then leave it as it is. And then when it's dry out, the colors just fade out, and then you can recolor over and over again.
Oh, wow.
Okay, it is just because we try to plan to reduce the mess, we
Mm-hmm.
found a solution. I'll give you another example where I also learned it, also I believe a couple months ago, a little bit more, where they were trying to teach the kids the colors, and this is at a very young age. So they take the kids to a bathtub. This is not at school. I'm talking about home. Okay. And then they put food coloring on yogurt. Right.
Wow.
And then the kids, while they're playing and they're making a mess, if they put it in their mouth, it's still edible colors. And that's an amazing idea. You see how amazing this one? Right?
Right.
So
Right.
they're really taking care of the health. At the same time, they're really introducing these new colors, red, blue, and green. Like, oh, this is amazing. Right? It's
Yeah.
all the power of planning. and sharing ideas.
Now I think there is a lot more options out there for the children to make it more easier for the teachers as well.
Yes.
But it also, I think there's another part that that plays in this is that sometimes the centers don't have enough financial aid to support that. That's a big one. That's a big one, you know, and because they could be quite expensive, or they could be, you know, they're not available as common as, you know, as other colors are. So it's just easier to get them. But on the other hand, I do think that in future there might be more of these things for children that's just more easier for them to explore. And then for the teachers, it would be like more edible stuff, you know, and it'll be
Yes.
like better for the future.
Yes, totally. Also, I'm gonna give two feedbacks here. I hear a lot from ECEs that either at school or at the childcare centers that they're not getting enough of the budget so they can buy stuff. So they end up buying from their own pockets, right?
Right.
Which is amazing because you see how they care about the kids more than just the money aspect, right? Like they really trying. And here, where one of our main goals at UKU, I'm just gonna take advantage of this point and express it to people that we are trying to ease all of these type of activities as much as possible, so you don't really have to invest over and over again and in different places, especially when it comes to printable activities and to fine motors activities and all of these stuff. So and ideas. The other part of my feedback, which is involving parents, adding parent to a community of ECEs, it's gonna amaze you how much of ideas you get from parent, like the one I just shared about coloring the yogurt, right? Because you see two different perspectives where they are exactly supporting the same coin. Like you look to a coin, you can see numbers and you can
Mhm.
see a print on the other side. They are two sides of one coin.
Yeah.
When you see that, this is very powerful, right?
Right.
You agree to that? Awesome.
I totally agree with it. I
Yeah.
totally agree with it.
Yeah, awesome. I believe I have one more question and then one or two. Yeah, I have two questions. Okay. So, how important is to schedule to implement activities in the room?
I think schedule really helps us to have the freedom to design
Yeah.
activities and materials that are, you know, required for the children in the classroom, as we have a planned schedule and we can follow it, and it won't be like a mess throughout the day, as they're not, the ECs are not thinking, oh, what am I going to do next, what am I going to do next, because if they have a specific schedule, they know what's happening next and they can plan accordingly. So so you have a schedule, and then you have things on top, for example, circle time, art time, music time, movement time, outdoor time. So you just have to do is fill the activities in it and then get ready for the day. Like you can do a week ahead, but then you have it planned and then you're ready to put it out there instead of using that time to think, what am I going to do? And you can do it a week ahead or plan ahead, and you can just put it out there, and then you won't be stressed and won't be a whole chaos for you, and it's just you're ready for the day. For this one, I think, as I clearly said already, that these things, how I implement in my schedule would be like that hour of free play time, an hour of outdoor time for sure, and one activity that's related with art, or one activity that's related with movement, and one activity that's related with cognitive skills. That could be like that, as I said, I call it young scholars. It could be writing your name, it could be doing an experiment, it could be doing any kind of activity that's involved with their thinking skills, right? Or problem solving skills, or even doing a puzzle. It's all about using those skills to put in those activities so they can do it throughout the day. And I also want to mention this. I feel like sometimes we do not have time to plan, and there are days that are very busy or chaotic. So I do feel like when we have that extra time, when we sometimes find that extra time, we could even plan extra activities, for example, for rainy days, for snowy days when we can't really go out, or there's a warning, certain kind. As you know, BC has been having a lot of warnings lately, and it's been really bad out here, especially here in Abbotsford. And then people, we have lots of warnings. So we're trying to implement things accordingly. As there's water outside, what can you do? It's bad. So for those days, we need to plan ahead and then make sure that we have those extra activities laying on the side that we can just, implement right away at the same time. So we don't have to think or juggle at the last minute to do it.
That's
So
awesome. That's
that's
absolutely awesome. Yes. You know what? I learned it from you last time that you even introduced the kids to like the generic schedule. And that was like, I was amazed with that when you mentioned it to me last time. Like, even at that young age, okay, guys, we are going to do such and such
yes. Yeah.
from the beginning of the day. This is very, very nice,
Right.
right?
Because think about it. Because think about it in child's perspective, right? They're sitting there and they're like, what's happening next? How would you feel like if somebody, you're in a room and you're there for a day and it's so confusing, even being an adult. Think about how confusing it would be for a child being there in the room and then you're not able to put out enough information for them. So it's better to like get them exposed, like to throughout what are we doing through the day? We're doing art, we're doing so like constant reminders. Sometimes children don't have this big of attention span. So I try to do is give them reminders like 5 minutes, we're gonna do art, 5 minutes, we're gonna use bathroom, 5 minutes, we're going outside, 5 minutes, we're getting ready, 5 minutes, we're getting cleaned up. And I use this timer. So you can get this little timer thingy and put a 5 minute on top and they'll beep, beep, beep. They know what to do now. They know how to clean up. They know to move to line. They know to go to the bathroom. They know to line up. They know to start getting ready. They know how to start snack. So it's just those little things that you put out there throughout the day, that makes transitions easier for children and for the teachers as well.
And well organized. And you know what? I would love to extend this to parents as well. Again, we at home, most likely we go with the flow of whatever we are doing as a parent, and then they are part of our flow. Let's say the mom right now, she is cooking, so most likely if she doesn't want her kids on a screen, so they are sitting on the bench near to her, right on the island, and then they're just doing some other activities. But the point is, you don't have to really schedule it down to the T. Do the framework. Like, I love what you just said. I'm just gonna rephrase it in a very nice way to parents. If we know the framework of these 4 pillars or 5 pillars, social activities, art, etc., and then you're gonna do them through the day, right? You can be more organized, even yourself as a parent, because we are going to touch base on this one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time when we don't know what to do, and you are busy, and they are really wanted to play, and you cannot have that 50 minute or I'm sorry, 15 minute to play with them. Okay, take the screen, go watch something. Well, if
Yes.
you know exactly this is going to happen, you plan for it during the day, you're going to see that you can involve them with some type of activities in the kitchen, let's say, just because you had the plan for it, right?
Right.
Okay, it's exactly like an adult. When you always don't have a plan to what you're going to eat during the day, you end up with so much buying food from outside, right? During that
Mm-hmm.
month, right? Or that week, because you
Yes.
didn't plan it. But if you have a plan it from the beginning of the week, you realize that you're saving so much money of ordering foods, right? Because you already have it as a plan. It's just as the same for kids, even more important, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah. Okay. The last question, and then we go to action points. Okay. So, how can we remind kids about different areas or activities that we need to do during the day? By the way, but just before we jump in here, I also want to give a feedback, which is important. Having the timer is amazing.
Sorry?
Having the timer is an amazing idea.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I,
Yeah.
I feel like I found that that was really a best way to transition as I thought like the way I was telling children constant reminders, it wasn't working that well. I realized like the sound kind of gets their attention better than my voice. So I was like, let's just try that. And then we kept that throughout the room the whole time and just move on with it the whole day. We try to involve it as much as possible in the room.
That's amazing. That's absolutely good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this point. And absolutely, I will start to trying it here at home, and I'll share my feedback. Let's go back to the last question. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. So, how can we remind kids about different areas of activities that we need to do during the day?
Yeah, I think I already
You
touched base
already
on it
almost covered
earlier.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all
from
about
the
like visuals. It's all
yeah.
about using your you can print images, you can use those cue cards, you can show them, you can even read a book on it. There are so many books out there now that you can try to get the children ready, as the books talk about how to get ready, how to get up, dress up, brush teeth, and get ready for school kind of thing. And also felt stories. So my coworker, she's really, 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 I would say really good at making felt stories. And she loves, and she enjoys it so much. And she makes so many felt stories, and she comes up with so many ideas every week. And I'm just looking at her, I'm like, how do you do this? Like, this is so amazing. And she did that too. Like, we did this yesterday with the children about the winter getting ready, right? She made this mitts and jacket and pants and shoes and toque. It was so cute. It was a child with the felt story, and then you have to put toque on top, mitts, and then pants and shirt. It was just the best way to interact with the children, as they were like so into it. They wanted to do it so bad that they knew what to do. And we tried to do a reminder every single day as well. As for example, it's raining, I try to do them, hey, like, do you think if I go outside today like this, would I be dry in this weather? And they're gonna be like, no. And I'm like, what do you need then? Oh, winter. Oh, no, 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 no. Rain boots. And they go like, they need one thing each at the same time, because then you know that they know what to wear before they're getting ready. So also there's another reminder that I do is when I'm getting the children ready to go outside, I stand there and I'm like, okay, let's do the checklist. That we're ready. You have your jacket on, and they look at their jacket. You have your pants on. If it's like winter or cold, you have like double layer pants, right? They're like, yeah. And then you have your outdoor shoes on. They're like, yes. You have a mitts on. They look at it. Toque on. Is your zipper up? You need help? And stuff like that. So we do a checklist before we go outside. It's just a great reminder for the children that, this is what we're supposed to do when we go outside. This is what we're supposed to wear. This is what we're supposed to have. So it's just all about how you remind them throughout the day.
Yes, awesome. Oh my God. I love every example. These are very, very awesome. And by the way, before we go to the action points, if you share with me some of the links and these books that they prepare kids for or transition, we could maybe create a visual design out of it, and we share it in the community. I would love to have that.
Yeah, for sure. No problem.
Awesome. Let's finish with a few action points, and yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, yeah. So for the main action points, I think what would be schedule, right? You need to really plan your schedule ahead of time. You need to observe and plan accordingly what you need to meet the needs of the children. And transitions. So transitions really need to be in small groups as they're moving from one place to another. There needs to be a teacher from one spot, and there needs to be a teacher in another spot. And try to make transitions as small as possible, because they could be really chaotic at the same time. And try to plan like an hour outdoor time, an hour free play time. And as I said, for the activities, process really matters than the product. That's a really big one. I learned that at school, and I stick with it. And I really, really, really miss my teacher, because it really reminds me of her when she told me that, and it really stick in my mind, and I try to focus on it as much as possible. And planning according to child's interest, and support children during transitions. These are the few points I think that are really, really important to implement throughout the day.
An add timer if you can.
Yes, that one.
That's a good one.
Try to use timer. That's a great one. That's a really great one. Please do try it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, and you go enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's a pleasure. Okay, guys, this is your host, Khalid Farouk Hayek, with UKU Impact in Education Show. And until next time, go make your kids' life a masterpiece. Have a good day.
Bye. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.